Yes, it's true. I talk a lot about gear and setups and things like that here on my channel, but I do have a certain philosophy, if you will, on what to invest in terms of gear when you're trying to set up your YouTube space to grow your video brand. So before you rush out to buy all of the gear that I have, and well, Meredith has a $500 microphone, maybe I need to have a $500 microphone. Let's dive into what really matters to create great videos that grow your video brand before you go spend thousands. I have a friend who went out a couple of months ago and bought multiple cameras, 3 cameras, 2 microphones, a Rodecaster Pro, all this gear to set up a podcast / YouTube studio. And once they had all the gear, they realized, I don't know how to set this up. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what the settings should be. And then once they realized what all of that stuff needed to be, they realized that they needed to have somebody else there to actually hit all of the buttons in order to even record their content. And that might sound extreme, but I've had multiple people come to me with that same kind of conundrum of like, oh, I spent all this money. I don't know how to use the gear. And I don't even know if I really want to spend the time to learn it or set it all up. And I totally get why it might seem obvious that you want to be successful online, and so therefore you're going to buy the gear that you see the successful people online using, but it's not the gear that made those people successful, right? It's how they used it. It's the strategies, not just the tactics. And I talked a little bit about this in my last video on how to create talking head videos that actually grow your audience. So I'm not going to dive into that here, but you might be surprised to learn that the most important thing, the most invest-worthy thing that you should spend your money on, if you're going to spend your money on up-leveling your videos, is the audio. It's how your videos sound. And I've used this example before. You may have heard me say this. If you're driving down the road listening to the radio and your favorite song comes on, if there's even just a tiny bit of static, I don't know about you, but I have to change it. I would rather listen to nothing than listen to my favorite songs with static. Our ears are so sensitive, and it's really difficult to watch a video with really bad audio. But there's a good chance that your audio isn't really that bad. Plus, with software out there like Adobe's mic enhancement or audio enhancement, and Descript has the studio sound feature, there's a lot of ways to improve the sound of your audio, even if you don't have a $500 microphone. But let me talk about this real quick, because I was going to do this as a separate video at some point. Do you really need a $500 microphone? Because the truth is, this is a $500 microphone, and it's also plugged into my computer through a, I think, $150 Shure MVX2U, which is a way that lets the XLR of the microphone plug into the computer through USB-C. It looks like a little cigarette lighter. But I've used a whole array of different audio microphone setups since I started my channel like 9 years ago. And I started by recording a voice memo on my phone and putting it in my shirt. This was my first microphone on my channel. And then I upgraded to a shotgun mic. And then I upgraded to maybe the Rode lapel mic and the DJI mic. And for a long time, I used the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X, which is a really affordable, really good sounding mic that just plugs right into your computer without any other fancy stuff. But last year I went down this microphone rabbit hole, and if you followed me then you know why. Sometimes I set out to learn something new, in my case at that time, about microphones and what's the difference, what's a condenser, what's a dynamic, why are there like 500 different microphones for podcasting and YouTube videos? And there really isn't one clear winner, and the brands are always coming out with new ones. And so I just started kind of teaching myself and learning and figuring it out. And of course, the best way to learn is to just like do it yourself, figure it out. So I tried a bunch of different microphones, and around that same time, Shure came out with this new SM7DB. So as somebody who creates content sometimes about audio gear, I thought, what the heck, why not? Let's just buy the latest, greatest thing. And yes, I like it. I think it's great. Do I think that most people would benefit from an external microphone for recording YouTube videos? For sure, absolutely, yes. Even if you're using your phone, and especially if you're using your camera, and for sure 100% if you are using a webcam and recording just with like your regular computer built-in microphone. But do you really need a $500 microphone? Probably not. But if you have the extra money to spend and you like upgrading your gear, then I definitely do recommend this. Again, if you have the money to spend. But it's not like upgrading your microphone is going to magically make your channel grow, because this is a tactic, not a strategy. You could have the best sounding audio in the entire world. If nobody finds your video and clicks on it and watches it, then no one heard it, right? So as far as investing in gear and equipment for your YouTube videos to grow your video brand, definitely prioritize audio. And that might mean an inexpensive external microphone. I'll put some links in the description. It might mean spending money on something that's more expensive, but you could get a new microphone and still have audio that doesn't sound that great. So make sure that you're in a space that has a carpet. Make sure that you are not running your HVAC while you record your videos. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things I'm most excited about in moving my office to another bedroom, is because my furnace is on the other side of this closet and there's ductwork above my head. So if the HVAC system, furnace system is on, it is audible. And this microphone does a really good job of filtering that out. And I don't even have any fancy settings on or anything like that. It just does a really good job of rejecting all of that noise and only picking up my voice. Now, with your audio set up just right, you might be thinking the next thing to invest in is your camera, right? Well, let's talk about something that could change your mind. So for this, I'm going to shut off this light here, which also will then shut off these lights behind me, because I want you to see the difference in real time of what lighting can and can't do for you. Let me turn on my overhead light. Same camera, same lens, same room, same window. Do you notice all of the shadows? Do you notice how my forehead looks accentuated? I do kind of have a big forehead, to be honest, but the light is like shining right on it. Like, hey, look at her forehead. It's not horrible, but it's not great. And there's a really easy thing that I can do to fix it. And first of all, let me open up the blinds to my window. That's a little better, but I've still got shadows because of the overhead light. So without that light on, I'm just getting natural light from the window it's not in front of me straight on. It's like to the side. It's to the side of me. It's also an overcast day and the sun hasn't gone on the other side, on this side of the house yet. So I don't have any direct sunlight coming in. So this is perfect if it stays that way. I love the look of natural light because it feels welcoming. It feels relatable. It feels like you're just in a room in my house, because you are in a room in my house. Well, I am just in a room in my house with a camera. And so it feels very natural. The light just kind of washes over everything. And I think it looks great, but the problem is you can't control the natural light. But let me show you something. I just realized I had my lamp on over here, which is not very bright, but it does offer something. Now I just have the glow of my computer screen. Let me put this into dark mode. Okay, so my blinds are closed, all of my lights are off, everything is in dark mode. To be honest, it's not really that bad, I don't think. But the problem with this, let me get a little bit closer. The problem with this is that my camera, any camera, phone, webcam, whatever you're using, has to work so hard to find light to make the image so that you can see me, that the image quality is not going to be that great. Like if you look behind me over here at this dark area and probably my wall and stuff, it might be a little bit grainy and you might even see more like imperfections in my face or like pores or I don't know, wrinkles or something. But if I turn on my Elgato key light over here, and we'll give my camera just a second to adjust itself, and then turn on my lamp, can you see the difference in the overall quality? I could use a little bit more light over here on this side. My window's there, but I could use a light like kind of like over here on this side of my face, but I'm not going to mess with that because I'm moving into a new office soon. And I'm going to turn on my lights behind me so that sort of separates me from the background a little bit. So having enough lighting in your space not only gives your camera the ability to do its camera things for you and just create a better overall quality image, but I think it also makes you look better. Like, let's just be honest. Not everyone loves the way they look on camera. Some people are self-conscious about wrinkles or skin imperfections and things like that. And lighting can do wonders for this. So if you feel kind of like you don't really like the way that you come off on camera, you don't like the way that you look, try a little bit of lighting. Open the shades to your window, sit in front of a window, not in direct sunlight. Get a key light or something from Elgato. I really like the Elgato key lights because they don't take up a lot of space. And sometimes the key lights that you see people using on YouTube are like huge. Plus, if you do decide to invest in a real camera at some point in the future, you're still gonna need to have good lighting. And speaking of cameras, when you do see someone with good quality video and you're thinking, wow, their video just looks so good, it looks so crisp, it just looks really good quality, and you already know they probably have good lighting, and in addition to good lighting, they probably also have a good lens on their camera. The lens on a camera makes an enormous difference, and I've created multiple videos talking about my camera setup and the lens that I use. I will link to those below, but I am still using my Canon M50 Mark II with a Sigma 16mm lens, and I have my Canon R10 set up kind of like webcam style over top of my monitor. But you know what I don't like about this, and this is one thing I'm kind of excited about moving into my new space. I like having my camera right above my monitor. So I'm straight on to my monitor here, but my shelves look lopsided because my desk is turned a little bit. It's not straight on a wall. And so I set this up to try it out, but it just feels little, like I know that my room is not lopsided, but it just kind of looks wonky to me. So anyway, that's the R10 with Canon's 16mm lens. It's not as good as the Sigma in my opinion, but it works. And again, I have good lighting and I'm not just using the lenses that came with the camera. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the best camera is the one you have with you, right? That's what photographers love to say. And I absolutely think that's true for YouTube videos too. The best camera is the one that you have. And if all you have is a phone, good lighting is going to give you a really good, high quality looking image to build your video brand. But if you want to spend money on a real camera, don't just look at cameras. Look at the cameras and the lenses. I will link to the 2 cameras that I just showed you down in the description below this video. And I have videos showing how to set them up. So check out my Crush It on Camera series and my Canon R10 settings video. And there's a ton of other gear like teleprompters and Stream Deck and the lights that I have going on behind me here. Do you really need all that stuff? Is it really going to make you more successful? Is it going to make your videos actually better? You're waiting for an answer from me. I don't have it. Only you know the answer to that question. I've talked to a number of people who got the Elgato prompter and then tried it out and then realized that they really don't like reading from a teleprompter. They don't sound natural. They don't like the way that it comes off when they're reading from a teleprompter. And so if you're considering a teleprompter, if you think that having a teleprompter is going to suddenly make you better at creating videos or make your videos better, first, I would say just try reading from a script, like on your monitor. Read it out loud to yourself and ask yourself if it sounds natural. Because I think that is a skill that not everybody is born with. It takes practice. It's not inherently obvious how to use a teleprompter, but you can always improve by practicing. And maybe the script that you have written is not even written the way that you talk, which is something that I've just always done. That is, I think, instinctual to me when I first started creating my videos. It's not always for everybody. You might have been trained to write in a certain way that is not the way that you talk. And you can untrain your brain and write the way that you talk so that when you read it from a teleprompter, it does come off as natural. And even then, it'll still take practice. And just in case you're wondering, I always feel like when I'm talking about a teleprompter, I need to tell you whether or not I'm using one. I have my Elgato prompter set up because I always have it set up on my camera, but I'm not reading anything. I'm just looking through the lens, through the teleprompter. There's nothing for me to read on there for this video. I do have notes over here on my actual desktop though. I guess what I'm trying to say in this video is don't go out and spend a bunch of money on gear unless you for sure know the strategy of using that gear. Because you could look at any successful YouTube creator, online business owner, and see that, oh, they have 2 different cameras. Oh, they have lights, fancy lights behind them that change colors whenever they want. What color was I on? I think it was blue. It was blue, right? And you could really easily assume that, oh, in order to be successful, I have to have 2 camera angles, fancy lights behind me, a teleprompter, and a $500 microphone. But what you don't see is that successful content creators and online business owners didn't start with all of that stuff. That's not what made them successful. It's what they have evolved into as they have grown. What is going to make you successful is a strategy for showing up consistently every week, consistently growing your audience, consistently generating revenue, consistently, and tying the content you create to the exact right audience that you want to serve, that you want to work with. Because building a business as a content creator is more than just building a YouTube channel. It's about building a video brand that establishes you as the go-to person in your niche or industry. So if you want to hear more about this, I am in fact launching a podcast in like 8 days. And if you want to be the first to hear the very first episodes before they're even public, before they're even live, I will put a link below so that you can join my podcast preview crew list. And if you're really struggling with the strategy for coming up with content that actually grows your channel when you're creating simple talking head videos, I will link up my last video here for you because I think you're really going to love the simplicity of it.